Welcome to Dare to be Conscious, the podcast that helps you shift, grow, and transform anything in your life with ease. I'm Ruby Pichel, your host. Here we explore conscious choices, spiritual growth, and practical tools to help you live fully awake, aligned, and empowered. Every episode, I share insights, stories, and strategies that support you in stepping into your power and living the life you truly desire. So, whether you're making big decisions, expanding your consciousness, or simply want to live more intentionally, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of Dare to be Conscious. And today, the guest on the show is Tyler Davis. Tyler, welcome.
Thank you, Ruby. Appreciate you having me on.
Yes, well, I'm happy to have you on. I was very interested to have you on the podcast as we met each other a few weeks ago. You were traveling through Europe and you were in the Netherlands, and I had a chance to meet you in person. Um, and yeah, we had very deep conversations. One thing that, of course, kind of stuck with me is your relationship with God, with Jesus, the way that you are a believer in life. And yeah, so you do want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up with just kind of in that mindset, I guess you might say. And I don't know how strong of a relationship you might say I have, but basically, I'm just I've delved into the different ways in interpreting like Christ consciousness and that the whole idea, right? And like lately I've been seeing this notion of, like it's not Jesus physically ever coming back. It's him awakening within,
Mhm.
all of us, within humanity, within human consciousness. And so I like that, you know what I mean? I like striving towards that. I feel like that's more of a I don't know, just feasible way of looking at it
Mhm.
because I don't necessarily, buy into the dogmatic or all the different religious views on it, you might say.
What made you
Um,
think that? Because I would say that's the way that I've been looking at it as well. What made you say that Jesus is not coming back physically the way that Christians say he would be back? What makes you say he's coming back in a different way?
just to me, it's more logical. I mean, it seems like just like a story, and it also just the way it's all told. And then if you think about like Revelations and everything, it's like this script that people who are have power may be able to just follow the script and get people to go along with it. Um, because it's just a nice it's a lot of it promotes apathy, I feel like, in people.
Mhm.
You're just waiting for your savior. You're just leaving it entirely outside of yourself.
Right.
And to me, we've been doing that for, well, I guess since
Uh,
Jesus or whatever. So it's like,
yeah.
at least, you know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
like that's a couple thousand years of doing that. And it's like, well, we could do it for another couple thousand years. And I
Yeah.
just don't think he's just gonna physically show up. And if he has, he probably already has. And he was, in Palestine and got buried in the rubble or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
He
like, who
got
knows?
murdered.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, but so to me, there's no point in like waiting around for it. We
Yes.
could just activate it within ourselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
That
Right.
way of thinking, right? Because that's isn't that the whole point? Is just like what would Jesus do? Like to emulate him, like to emulate the concepts, the way to treat people, the way to uh not tolerate like evil and right in front of your face and
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
basically give everyone an equal standing and value. And
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
so that's kind of what I think.
the where I feel like what I've experienced touches your story is that one thing that I've learned in working in energetics, but also working with quantum physics, basically, the wordings are very important, right? Our
Right.
words have frequency as well. And whatever it is that we choose, our choice determines our reality. So in the wording, if we would always keep saying, and you were saying exactly the same thing, if we always keep saying Jesus will return, we're gonna have to wait until Jesus returns. We're gonna wait
Exactly.
forever because
Exactly.
that the way that we even pronounce that sentence is like it's always something in the future. It's
Exactly.
always in the future, and that way it stays in the future.
That's exactly right.
And so I was looking at that, and as I was strengthening my relationship with Jesus, Jesus revealed himself to me. I could
Hmm.
I could physically see him, I could speak to him, and I've been speaking to him ever since. I don't always physically see him with my eyes because he doesn't always appear, but I can definitely perceive him and I can hear him, and I can perceive, I can feel his energy. But when I knew he was here, just his energy, um, I was like, well, that's it. Like he's already here. And it even says in the Bible that life would, there would be life after death. He would give us his advocate, which is the Holy Spirit, and he was going to be with the Father. So, and I'm like, why are we waiting for his return when he's already here? When he's already here, reaching out to us, connecting with us, speaking to him. Maybe we don't always hear him, but he is connecting with us. And I'm like, we can't wait until he returns. Like, we're going to wait
Right.
forever and we're going to die in the meantime. And there was another thing that I was looking at, which also changed my perspective, and that had to do with all the army of angels. Have you ever
Hmm.
heard people talk about God's army of angels, and
Oh
that
yeah.
basically the legions of angels are waiting to enter to come and help us? And
Right.
everybody's like, "Well, we're just going to wait until the angels enter and they come and help us."
Right.
And I
But
was,
but like your light team is already there, kind of thing. They're already there, like
they're
just
already there.
waiting for you to ask for the help, basically.
Exactly. Like I was meditating on that and I was asking Jesus, and he was like, well, you know, they're your army. And we also learned that the angels are not above us, right? The angels, they're here to serve us. That's because we are here on earth to do the job on earth, and they are here to serve us. And I'm like, well, if there's an army of angel waiting for us and they're here to serve us, that kind of makes us the army leader. And what does
I
an
mean,
army leader do? He commands the army.
right.
And so
And so if you don't, then I mean nothing's gonna happen.
nothing's going to
Like
happen. They're not going to move. And
I mean they still might look out for you in certain ways, but like they're you know, you're
well,
probably
they're
not
going to
even
look
gonna
at you
notice.
being slow. They're going to
Well,
look at
yeah,
you like,
exactly. Like, come on, like, get with
yeah,
it.
it's like, wake up. Come on. We're here. We're ready to
Yeah.
fight. Yeah. Now,
Yeah, well, and the way you described, like the energy of Jesus, I've had other people describe that in similar ways in my life, and then, I had this meditative experience when I was, I don't know, like 18 years old.
mhm,
I was doing some meditating, and it was probably the closest I've ever experienced to something like that. It was, I just basically hit this place of just like this pure, infinite love, and I was just completely enveloped in it.
right.
And uh, I just instantly started like bawling, and I just did not felt like I did not deserve
Same.
it at all.
Hmm.
And but I also just realized in that instance that like this is just here. This is just how reality is. This is always here to tap into.
Oh,
Like
yes.
it's never not there. And it's
Yeah.
just like and then it's like I've been trying to just stay in that place ever since, but it's like man, life is interesting. It's like it's always there, but can you always tune into it? Can you always
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different I mean, all the different ways we're being attacked essentially,
Right.
spiritually and all this,
Yeah.
it's like it's yeah, it's interesting.
Right. So. There's one thing that you let me know is the way that you are living your life. And you've told me that you have a different way of looking at things, a different way of explaining things. Is there an example that you can give me in how you
Mm. Uh,
always find other ways to express things?
Yeah, I mean that's that's a lot to that. Because there's a lot of just little ways, just day to day. But I just try to look at as many different perspectives as I can. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even though I know it's always just going to be my perspective, I still just I try to have like empathy in all the different ways that I can, and just so it, because that's because I feel like in order to get through to people, it's on a very individual basis, and it's going to be different with every different person. So it's like you have to look at things differently. You have to have a different approach, a lot of ways to like teach people things and or to share information. Because if you share it one way, people won't hear you, or it might make them defensive, or all different ways. So it's like trying to find that individual way in which you can connect with someone and like get through and actually, not just have this meaningless interaction, but like a real, you know, like a breakthrough on something,
Mm-hmm.
some sort of progress, and I kind of realized that early on, and that's just kind of part of how I am is um I kind of play my own devil's advocate. I'll say one thing that I'm thinking, but then I go, well, wait a minute, what if it's the opposite? Or what if it's something in between? Or what if it's like, what if it's from this looking at it this way? And I'll just do that to myself. I'll just say,
Right.
wait,
Yeah.
like how many different ways can we look at this?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I try not to like judge people on, you know, kind of if they're stuck in their way of looking at it. Because then it's like, well, I could see how maybe you got there. I guess I've done that too,
Yeah.
and I mean, yeah,
But I guess the
it's
good approach is to, I love the what if question. I've spoken to many people in this field, but the what if question, I think that is one of the most powerful questions. I mean, the what if is like, well, what if it's not, right? Or what if I'm wrong?
absolutely.
What if there's something else available? Like,
Well, see, and that's you just said it right there. I think that's a huge thing for our current society is being able to admit that you could be wrong. I mean,
mhm.
that's a huge difficulty for us. Well, let me speak for a lot of Americans, I guess, in our society, which is a big thing. It's very hard for people to even want to go there that they could be wrong,
Oh
right? So,
yeah.
but I have no interest in like any sort of ego stuff with anybody. So it's like there's no point to it to me. So it's like I can totally be wrong. I'm just some person, so I can always be wrong. And I try to be the first to admit that
Hmm.
I could be wrong in any instance. You know what I mean? It's just like this. I think that's the best way to approach everything because
Yes.
then it avoids arrogance. It doesn't mean I'm not ever going to be arrogant, but it's like it
Ah,
that's a
you
it's
know,
a
if
good way
something is
to
the
avoid
truth, it's the
arrogance,
truth, right?
like I mean, yeah,
Like we
exactly.
cannot argue truth. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the thing, and I've seen that in politics many, many times. Like people don't know the difference between an opinion and a fact.
Mm.
Like an opinion
Oh
is
God, yeah.
not a fact. It's
Well,
like,
especially today, and especially in the age of the internet, and it's getting worse and worse with the AI and just the different levels of fraud and like just fakeness that can be perpetrated
mhm.
on every level. It's like how do you even determine what is fact on a lot of things and then how you feel about it and then people can't decipher between the two of how they feel about what they think is a fact and whether or not even is a fact
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard these
Well,
days.
you're bringing up a completely different layer as well. It's like when people see something or when we see images, right? Is it true because we see something? And it's like
Right.
there is no discernment anymore on what is the lie and what is the truth. And I
Hmm.
have to say, that's why I have so much gratitude for when I started learning about energetics. I feel like I stepped away from religion as I was growing up, and I was walking in this space of access consciousness, which then led me back to Jesus because access consciousness
Hmm.
opened my mind. I was so closed
Hmm.
or not wanting to let go of my limiting beliefs. And basically, that led me to access consciousness saying, well, maybe you got to let go of your limiting beliefs. And
Hmm.
again, there's like a what if? What if you would let go of your limiting belief? What would happen? And so that whole journey brought me closer to Jesus, but just because I could open up and ask questions. Because one of the things with access
Hmm.
consciousness is they'll say, be in the question. Just be in the question. Just question everything. Question yourself. Like even the trainer was like, don't believe me. Just see for yourself what is true and get that discernment. And so that's what I was doing the whole time. It's asking
Hmm.
questions, it's building that inner voice that you can perceive, okay, this is the lie and this is the truth. And when you
Right. Because
sharpen that, when you can really sharpen that, it's so easy. It's like, the lie and the truth is actually like black and white.
well, absolutely. And that's the thing, like you hit it the nail on the head with that because yeah, truth can only be realized. You can't tell somebody the truth. You can't force it upon somebody or anything. Like, it has to be realized. And so it's crucial that you develop the discernment to be able to, discern whether someone is being truthful or something is being truthful, which we naturally do in a lot of ways, especially
Mhm.
personal ways, we can read body language and, all the different there's different signs for people not being truthful and, you
Do
know,
you feel like you are always good at discerning, or is it something that you
so
had
for
to grow back in?
me, it's something I've been forced to develop because of my nature. So I have a really Um, I just have a very giving nature, and I
Mhm.
give the benefit of the doubt, and I'm a very naturally trusting person. I was born for the utopia, you know what I mean? But it's like I was born in this world, so I I've had to learn through many, many, many experiences of being taken advantage of for my kind nature, of that this world is pretty rough, with a lot of different agendas of different people. And so, I've had to develop my discernment and I've been through a lot of, and it's just a lot of different ways, and going through narcissistic abuse. I mean, just different levels of discerning people's intentions, people's, uh, truthfulness, trustworthiness. Um,
Mhm.
and it's like now which is good because now I don't have time to waste with people who are going to waste my time trying to take advantage of me or anything, for in general, I could still get scammed somehow maybe, but in general, I've developed pretty good discernment to not waste my time with people that are out to waste mine.
Right. What do you do when that happens, when you notice somebody is wasting your time?
Well, it kind of depends on what the situation calls for, and it depends on who it is because I work with some people that are like that. Sometimes, and I have, you know what I mean? And it's you have to if you're gonna have to keep working with them, then you have to approach it one way. Like if you're gonna have to keep dealing with them, and then but if there's someone that can just come and go in your life, you can just not put any energy towards them anymore and
Right.
just
Yeah.
not invest basically, not invest
Hmm.
in them anymore. Um, if that's what the situation calls for.
Yes.
But yeah.
Um, so I'm kind of looking at which way we're going to go here. Because I think I'd like to ask you this more general question, but that might open up a whole other conversation. So let's go. So let's go to the part where you said an important thing for you is for people to be able to stand in your power. but standing in your power does not require violence, right? We can free ourselves without the use of violence. Can you speak to me about, first of all, we can free ourselves without the use of violence. What are you talking about when you talk about free ourselves?
So that's a great question. So, uh, basically, what I mean by that is we got to take responsibility for ourselves, for our lives, for our families, for our communities. I mean, but it starts with ourselves, because I don't believe that we can actually be free without full responsibility. I think they go hand in hand. That's just what I've seen from my life experience that if you want to be free, you have to take responsibility. And if in order to take responsibility, you have to have the freedom to do so. So it's like they kind of just go together. And so we need to start, instead of essentially passing off all of our responsibilities onto, other things outside of ourselves, like government or such things,
Mhm.
is we need to start taking responsibility for ourselves, I believe. And so what I mean by not needing any violence or anything is we we can just not pay into and not obey the different systems that are being forced upon us right now. And we could exit and we could build different systems non-violently and do different things without ever shedding any blood or anything. We could just, I mean, there's way more regular good people in the world than the people who want to control others, right?
Right.
So we could find ways to voluntarily, um, you know, uh, peaceably, exist with each other and build community and t maintain those communities without, having coercion and force and, violently overthrowing anything. Right, like the next revolution doesn't need to be violent at all. Like it needs to be a revolution of thinking and of consciousness of how, how we're interacting with the world, where we're being responsible humans and doing what we got to do to figure out how we maintain our communities and provide our communities with what it needs.
Right.
Um, and so I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
Yeah,
but
no, you're
so we
fine.
uh we uh so yeah, I just don't think there's any violence that's required for any of that, and we can just actually just take responsibility for ourselves. Because
Right.
let me say this too, this is a good opportunity to clarify my stance in that, because this has been a little bit of a theme in my life, because I was just approached the other day at work by the FBI, and because someone, and I have some suspicions about who it might be, someone called the government on me and thought I might turn violent for things I've said. And let me just be clear, uh, this is what I told them too, that I don't wish any violence or harm upon any creature upon the planet. That's my stance. But I'm passionate about what is essentially self-defense, in that we should not be tolerating tyranny. We should not be tolerating, you know, uh, people just being able to murder with impunity and just have the monopoly on violence and just all this, and all the stuff they do to children, and we should not be tolerating this stuff,
No.
right? Like, and so whatever we got to do to put an end to it is what we got to do, and that's my stance on that. What
Hmm.
and I think in a lot of ways it doesn't require violence. But like obviously I believe in, if you're being violently attacked, whatever is necessary to stop the attack is justified, of course. And so, it's guys, we don't need violence. That's the whole thing. We could do we have so many of us that don't want violence in the
Right.
world. Like we could use our words and we could
Right.
figure out new ways to, um, interact with each other and take care of each other and take
Well,
care of ourselves. So
Tyler, I think we need to talk about this. I think we really need to have this conversation more often because when we talk about violence, I agree with you. We don't need to use violence to change things. And let's start with the beginning for that one, because again, quantum physics, the outer world is just a reflection of your inner world. So if
absolutely.
you change your inner world, your outer world will change. A lot of people don't know how to believe this, right? They're always trying to change the circumstances and they're trying to fight against the government. The government is doing something to them and they need to defend themselves. That on
Right.
itself is a struggle. That
Exactly.
when you decide that that doesn't count for you, right? It's like they can do whatever. I mean, I'm going to choose my life. I'm going to create my reality. Whatever somebody else chooses does not have an effect on me. Like, even if the rest of the world would choose something else and would choose to listen to all of the rules and regulations of the government, you as an individual never have to listen to that. Like,
Right.
if you would only choose to
Absolutely.
like listen to Jesus, then you're good.
Right.
And I know it's hard because we're, in contact with other human beings and, you
Well,
know,
then that's the thing too, is like, but we need more people to have that approach to it because the thing is we still have so many people where it is a thing where it will come and affect your life, if they want to. Like,
mhm.
I mean, I'm good. It's not like there's a reason to be scared, right, about the government or anyone, right? Whatever. Like, I'm good to die today. I'm right with everything, you know. But it's like whatever. I've had a good life. But but it's like, it's such a big thing where we more people need to be doing that inner work so that we have a bigger effect on this collective reality, right? Because like this whole um violent apparatus, right, that so many people are caught up in, right? It can still affect our lives. You know what I mean? Even if we're like exiting a building, it's like we still have to kind of interact with it through like the economy and you know what I mean? It's like which, we can be conscious about how we do that and everything, right?
Exactly.
But,
Yeah, you mean we're still
you
part of
know,
this reality. We are still part of life on Earth.
yeah. So, but, having more people doing the inner work of choosing to, find a better way or however you want to put it, for themselves and building up, their own, uh, taking care of themselves, basically, then those issues of this centralized, you know, violent apparatus, won't be as effective, or it'll affect us less and less. You know what I mean? Because it will have less and less power over us, as more and more people choose to just step out of it. Like that's
Right.
how I see it, and which is also another reason why it doesn't require any violence. Because even though they've got all the big guns and all the crazy weaponry, it's like, uh, they either choose to, you know, end us all, or that's probably not going to happen. So we just move on. You know what I mean? We just stop obeying them and stop going along with that and build better systems.
Well, the way that I want to have that conversation is, how also scripture says that it's a spiritual battle and there are things going on in the unseen world. And even though in life, I don't feel like we need to use violence, I agree with you. But I have to admit to you, I kill demons all the time. In the
Oh yeah,
energy,
right. Right.
I kill demons all the time so they don't get into my space. And I feel like, and I've come to understand this better as scripture says, the fear for the Lord. It's like people are more scared of the devil than they are for God.
Right.
And it's like, you
That's
don't have,
backwards. Yeah.
yeah, you
That's
don't have to be scared of the devil. Like, we have authority and we can just kill them. That's one thing. People move away from anybody who is demonic and toxic, right? They don't fear
right.
God at all. And the other part is that I feel like let's say the smaller demonic acts, which are maybe not as obvious, but there are some smaller demonic acts that we see in the world, and people just see that as normal. So
Right.
slowly they're letting it in, and they are not killing those demons. They're allowing
Mm.
them in. And I feel like if you let them in, it's just going to grow. And then it
Right.
turns into violence. Then it turns into, well, all of the things that you just mentioned, war,
Yeah, it
act
all
of
just
Satan,
degenerates, like
right?
it
Killing
just, yeah,
babies and stuff like
just
that. And yeah,
devolves, and yeah. exactly. And that's why we have to have a zero tolerance policy. Like, right, that's the real zero tolerance policy
Right.
is tolerating any of that demonic or evil or any of that stuff in or allowing it around you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like obviously uh, if like protecting the innocent in a way, you know what I mean? If you see something happening, like you can step in and you can stop it, right? Because that's a lot of things too, is like people will just watch crimes happening and stuff and just
Oh,
walk
yeah.
right by. They don't want to get involved. Like, well, hey, no, stop. Let's not let people hurt other people. Like, let's
Yeah.
stop it if we see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is everyone, if all the good people were walking around with the zero tolerance policy,
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean.
then
That's where
like
they fear the devil. Like they just fear the
well,
devil, keep on walking.
exactly. Just put your head down. Just keep
Yeah.
walking. Don't get involved. It's like, why? Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. They can't touch you if you don't let them. You know what I mean? They
Exactly.
cannot
No.
have any effect on you if you do not let them. And that's why if you could stand in your own power, which doesn't even require any violence, again, and even in this situation, really, you could just
Stand
be
there.
a wall
Yeah.
of light and just not even let it penetrate
Absolutely.
in any sort of way, and then just not tolerate whatever's happening. Like if
Right. Right.
some sort of crime or something, it's like no, that
Well, I guess that's the thing that we also should know, as we can learn that from scripture, is that we just simply have the authority. And the devil
absolutely
also knows, right? The thing, a lot of people is like, I don't believe in God. And it's like, even the devil believes in God. Even the devil believes God exists. He just chooses not to listen to him, right?
E-
But he
exactly
knows who has authority, and he can only get authority if we allow him.
right. It's by consent. I mean,
Yeah,
just like it. I mean, I guess maybe one way to get it through to people could be to comparing it to the government is because technically they only have any. They can only contract with you if you contract with them and consent to it, right? In some way, you have to consent to what they're trying to put onto you
absolutely.
in order for it to actually happen. And there's all sorts of ways they trick you to do it. But it's the same thing with all the other levels of demonic or evil or the
Right.
devil, whatever. It's like they try to trick you into acquiescing your own authority and power, or whatever it may be in the situation, and then that just lets it in, and it's like, but no, if you just stand in who and what you are and not allow it, then their hands are tied. They can't do anything. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I love that. It's so true. Is there a way that you can look at this from a perspective and what you see happening in different countries? We see a lot of like smaller civil wars coming to the surface, right? Um, a lot of arguments between left and right. A lot of arguments between like, are you pro-Palestine? Are you pro-Israel? Like, this is what people are now talking about, and this is where people are completely against each other. So, in the light of the demonic pressure and people choosing what they choose, what would you say about this whole situation that we as humans have created on Earth?
yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of it is um well, really, it goes to what is happening within human consciousness and how it's evolving. I think a lot of these dualities are being like extremely um uh I'm blanking on the word I'm trying to find here, but they're very pronounced right
Mhm.
now. And I a lot of it is I think there's a lot of manufactured in order to do the whole divide and conquer thing. I think there's a lot of that happening because the powers that believe they be are really grasping at straws, trying to hold on to their structure that they have right now. So I think there's a lot of the just promoted division happening, which so many people who are not acting consciously are just going to fall right into, and um, you know, that's that there's always going to be a percentage of that, I guess. But then also I think all these dualities are coming up because humanity is kind of being faced with the choice, because people have just ignored the choice a lot of between like good and evil and like what you're going to tolerate. I think we're being forced to choose more and more in our lives because we can't ignore it forever. So I think it's going to be more and more in our face, and it's like these are all different expressions of like different stances you can take, right?
Mm,
And it's like uh, you know, basically these are all tests of morality for hu human consciousness, and it's like what direction are we going to go? Are we going to
mm,
go the direction of, you know, goodness and love and taking care of each other and freedom and expression, you know, and the advancement of human consciousness and progressing, or are we going to be controlled and, you know, living in fear and violent and, you know, like we have been in a way.
right.
And yeah, so I think we're just being really much, very much confronted with these choices of which way are we going to go.
Mm. Well, Tyler, you're familiar with scripture. You are familiar with Christ consciousness in your own way of um, expressing that in your life. What's your view on what's happening in Israel and Palestine at the moment?
Well, that is an issue that I've been on top of for about 15 years, since that was one of the issues that was a part of my original kind of waking up process. Um, and thanks a lot of thanks to the work of Max Egan. I got into him when I was first waking up, and then followed him as he went to Gaza and basically gave a, a firsthand experience about his, you know, experience going there, and I completely dove down the rabbit hole. And to me, it's just an obvious situation of what is taking place, and people want to argue over all this different stuff, but I've always just look at it from a human perspective, and I mean, these humans are being uh, erased from history, and they're being warehoused right now. And that's what's going to happen to all of us if we don't pay attention. Like that's the plan for the world is to warehouse and control populations of humans. I mean,
Mm-mm.
that's what they're clearly doing. Um, you know, my heart has been breaking for the children in Gaza for this whole time. Like all this time,
Sure.
they've been dealing with this,
Yeah.
and they're just trapped in this situation, and it's just awful that you know, and you know, you're for so long, for the majority of the time that I've tried to speak out, obviously people won't even hear it, and you're just like, obvious people just construe you as being hateful, because
What
you don't
what
want children to die. But but you know, just all the different ways, you know, being called anti-Semitic or all this different stuff.
why would
When
somebody
there's
call you anti-Semitic? What is it that you spoke of that had them say that to you?
Well, I don't know, and I haven't been directly called that many times. Maybe a little bit on the internet, because it's hard to actually pin that on me, even though these people will pin it on anybody who just
Mm.
speaks out against Israel at this point. If you're anti-Zionist, if you're, you know, if you don't like what they're doing, if you call out their genocide, like you're just automatically an anti-Semite. But there's no hatred required to be against genocide. Like, if you don't want children to die, that doesn't require any hatred. That actually requires love. So it's stupid, right? It's a stupid argument, right? And that's why there's nothing you can actually pinpoint on me because it's entirely from a place of love. I don't want children dying. I don't want children being killed. I don't want people enslaved. I don't want people, you know, tortured. I mean, all the stuff that happens to the captured Palestinians in Israeli torture camps. I mean, all the stuff that goes down. I mean, I don't want any of this stuff going on, but it doesn't require any hatred. It just needs to stop.
Hmm.
Right? It's the hateful ones are the ones doing the killing of the children. And like there's some of the most hateful people that have ever existed, it appears to me. And they're the ones accusing everyone else of being hateful. But they're the ones actively killing people.
Killing children.
So
Yeah.
and what? So I mean, let's get real, people. Like it's ridiculous, you know. So yeah, it all needs to stop. I mean, which people need to
Well,
stop complying with all of it, you know?
I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, it needs to stop. Um, Going back to looking at consciousness, like what changes someone's consciousness, what makes people grow in their consciousness and really become consciously aware of what life is all about, what's happening in the world. Every time things have to hurt, right? Something has to hurt in order for people to want to change. Apparently, life on Earth has to become so bad and so vicious, right? That even when we're killing children, people are not even willing to get conscious. So what's
Right.
that all about?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point of anyone. I really like history or what we might think we know about history, but it seems like humanity many times has gotten pushed to the very brink of existence and then goes, "Oh shit, okay, we should probably do something here. Like we should probably change something. I don't think this is working."
Right? Or
It
God
seems
killed
like
them.
well, exactly. I mean, you just like to the very brink of it, like to the. I mean, we just wait and wait until uh it's almost going to be no more, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay, let's do. It's like the ultimate procrastination in
Mhm.
human consciousness, and I'm not sure what that's about. Um, but I see it in myself, so it's interesting because I see it in my own life, and I am fully guilty of it as much as any human. I procrastinate on stuff all the
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like a bit, it's like the macrocosm of that. Like we're procrastinating on making the right decision, as a, as the collective, not, you know what I mean? Not as a collective, but as human consciousness. We're kind of been procrastinating this decision of which way we're going to go, on what are we going to go with freedom or slavery? Are we going to go with love or fear? Are we going to go with, you know, uh, words or violence? You know what I mean? Like it's, so yeah, I think w it's all bubbling up and
It's
it's like
actually it's actually not such a hopeful um story now there, Tyler, because it's like, well, if we if we study history, we probably as humanity will not get it and we'll just die. Maybe
well,
poor
I'm really
people will
hope
live.
I'm really hopeful that that won't be the case. Like, because I still think there's time. I still think there's, you know what I mean? Like, we, it's like my whole life and generations before me. It's like, oh, the world's gonna end at this, or, the world's ending this way. It's like, people, I don't know. I think we still have time. Even though it looks really bad right now with all the different stuff that humans are doing. Um, I think it will probably get a little worse before enough of us are finally willing to, you know, not tolerate it anymore, basically, and just do something. Because
Right.
again, yeah, we don't all know what to do, but it's all going to start with our own lives and doing it for ourselves. So that's going to be a thing. It's going to be enough of us pushed to take that action for ourselves
Right.
to then have the effect for all of us.
You know what I don't really get is that on a on a smaller level, people are talking about not using violence, right? Or it's wrong to use violence. We actually started this conversation about that. And it's not that I disagree because I do agree that violence is not necessary. However, humanity is tolerating it all over the world. Like, how can
Right.
we say
So,
we're
and
against it, but we're tolerating it?
right, that's the thing is for me, that's the distinction and the discernment that I think people need to be getting because that's the thing is just as much as like I believe in like the non-aggression principle, right?
Mhm.
This is why I believe in a voluntary society. I don't believe in aggressing against anyone, but just as the pillar of, non-aggression is just as important as the pillar of self-defense. And
Mhm.
so you can't tolerate being aggressed against. So like so again, if someone violently attacks you, then you have every right and a duty really to if violence is probably going to be required even and use whatever is necessary to stop the attack, right? You have to stop the violence, right? And that often requires violence, but it's perfectly justified because it's all defense, right? And so every creature has the right to self-defense and to defense of the innocent, right? So if you see someone violently attacking someone else, you have every right to stop it. And if someone violently attacks you, you have every right to stop it, right? And so so the people who see, you know, a, a a child being killed or something, I mean, that's extreme. Uh, and a lot of people are a little bit helpless in those situations because it's often, an armed soldier or something that's doing this from a far away, like using a
Yeah.
sniper
Yeah.
rifle or something. So I mean, it 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 that's the thing is where people outside of that who are facilitating that being able to happen, right? Because like all of us in this country are funding that happening, right? Through our stolen funds from the government. They go directly to Israel and then they go and shoot children in the testicles and do all the stuff they like to do. And so enough people have to not be able to tolerate that happening. Okay, well, I'm not going to fund that. Okay, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to tolerate supporting that violence. And
Well,
and then we have
can I just be devil's advocate here for a minute?
yeah, absolutely.
Because the thing that you were just saying earlier in the right to defense, I get it, and I get where that is coming from. And I would say if somebody will hit me, I will definitely hit back. I can tell you that. If somebody touches my child, they better
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
But isn't this exactly what Israel is saying as well? They're saying, we've been attacked and we are defending. And I know there are people saying, well, there's a limit to where you can defend and you've gone overboard right now. But also, this comes from scripture where both religions believe that when you take over an area or a country, you better kill them all or you will be killed. Including, I mean,
But
scripture is full of story of women and children being murdered when taking over
right.
countries.
But so and that's kind of the thing, right? And so the claim is that they have a claim to the land given to them by God however many thousand years ago. Okay, so there's yet to be any evidence provided for that. Okay, so we don't have any evidence, so there's no reason to believe that's true, right? So they have not proved that that claim is true, that they have the claim to the land promised thousands of years ago. I have not seen any evidence. If someone has the evidence, I'd love to see it. But so there, we're start with that. So I don't know how anyone has an actual claim to any piece of the earth. That's a hard thing to actually prove, uh, considering we're like of the earth and we don't really,
Right.
and we live temporary existences.
Jesus just
But,
calls us dusties.
but what's that?
Jesus
Sorry.
just calls us dusties.
Yeah, there you go. But and that's the thing. So if you come into a land and you want to claim that there was never any people there and nothing existed there, but in reality, you committed a bunch of terrorism and you drove people away and you killed people and burned their homes, and then you force them into other refugee camps and you just force them to flee or they die. Um, and then that just goes on and on and on, and then you establish yourself and then you just keep expanding and expanding and you keep forcing more people to flee or they just die, or and then you just completely surround and blockade certain populations of them, and then you just like experiment with weapons on them, and you do all kinds of stuff, and you completely control them, you don't get to claim defense. What are you defending from? You are literally the dominating power, controlling the entire situation. You cannot tell me that a child with a stone threatens a tank.
No,
You
you're
cannot tell
absolutely.
me that a child with a stone or a man with an AK-47 threatens a fighter jet. There's no way that when you're dropping a bomb on a man with an AK-47,
Well, I think
that
this is one for a whole
there's no
other
defense there.
episode because this is not something that we can discuss in like 2 minutes.
Oh,
We
of course not,
we're
right?
gonna have to have another episode, but it's now
I mean,
like you said,
people have
it's
been
going
discussing
way.
this for 100 years, right? Like,
That's it. It's going so far back in history, and the way that I look at it, I feel like we should more have those conversations, not on an earthly level, but like
mm,
what is going on a spiritual level.
mm,
What is it that they've actually chosen to be, as putting the hand on the Bible or the hand on the Torah or the hand on the Quran. Um, are people actually aware of what they're choosing? Like, how many people do you know, whether they're Muslims, Christians, or Jews or whatever, who've actually read their books, their own books? So,
right. Very few really
right.
that or have like a comprehension of the
What
messages or,
exactly?
like, yeah.
And
I
this is not about saying that how wrong that is, but they are committed to living their life in a certain way when if you don't even know what you're giving your life to, if you don't even know the basics, if you don't know scripture, and all these things are happening and all these things are unfolding because unconsciously you're choosing stuff. I mean, we've experienced that in Christianity, right? There's something that they were trying to teach us where we're like, I don't think that's what Jesus meant. No,
right.
I'm pretty sure that's not what Jesus meant. Yeah.
Right.
And you say I can't swear. I'm pretty sure Jesus doesn't mind if I say fuck. So uh,
Yeah.
we get to a completely different space there. So there's a lot we can talk about, but we can only talk about it from a level of respect and a level of consciousness. And I'm not sure if that is happening here. Because if people are murdering each other, throwing bombs, right, killing children, then we are so far beneath the level of reason.
Right.
We're so
And
far down in lower frequencies that, we cannot even reach an
well,
inch.
okay, so you're bringing up so many good points here. And I think kind of a cliche saying comes to mind, but it's stand for something or fall for anything, right? And I think that's has a play here. Like I don't think people are standing for anything, right? And so
Mm.
they are falling for anything. And so but to me, I always try to have grace, and it's like I can totally understand why so many of us would be in this situation of kind of just going along to get along. I mean, people are just kind of bumbling along in life right now. A lot of people, like where, I mean, just looking at how much we are, especially in this country with our food supply and everything, it's like how much we're poisoned, how much, like every which way we've got toxins, we've got uh, electromagnetic uh, radiation, we got all this different stuff we're swimming in and dealing with. Uh, I think all designed to keep us from being conscious and from, raising our vibration and
Mm.
frequency. And so people are just kind of caught in that and don't realize it. And they're just kind of stuck in this lower vibration of just being led, and steered, by all the different means of, society does that. And, yeah, so I don't know what different things will be required to snap the different people out of it, but yeah, I think that's kind of a lot of it right now.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, I think we're going to close this conversation because we have to have a whole new conversation
Yeah.
about this. But like you're talking about how to snap people out of it. I've
Mm,
moved from not even wanting to wake people up, but
right.
just growing stronger with the ones that are awakened.
Right.
But again, this is just quantum physics, right? If we're in this higher frequency and we're just moving up, everything that's down here, there's this magnetic field and it has to rise at some point, but we just don't have to
Right.
focus on it anymore. We get to
Mm.
focus on what is right here, right? Make ourselves stronger and stronger and
Yeah,
stronger.
and the progression. Yeah, just keep
Yes,
going up with
yes.
it. And
Because
that's
there's
wow,
this
that's
level
a
here. If you're finally here, you'll stay here, but there's the level here. It keeps falling down. It's going up and down.
right.
We see that all the time. So I feel like we just need to take this part and make it stronger.
I really like that perspective a lot. That's I'm gonna keep that in mind. That's huge.
Yeah,
Because yeah, we need to be strengthening all of those good relationships and the people who are wanting to um make good changes and you
exactly.
know,
That's exactly it. Like who wants to make changes? Where's the willingness to actually change this and, end this once and for all? Well, I think that's a
exactly.
very good closing argument. Tyler, I want to thank you for joining me on this podcast. And I feel like maybe in the near future we'll do this again.
Ruby, I'd also like to thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd love to be on again. That'd be great.
All right,
Great
awesome.
conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Dare to Be Conscious. Remember, the life and energy you want start with the choices you make every day. The more you choose consciously, the more that energy shows up for you. You attract what you choose to be, so choose wisely. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you left a 5-star review or shared it with someone who could benefit. Subscribe to stay updated on new episodes and connect with me on social media. The links are in the show notes. Thank you for showing up, for stepping into your power, and for being willing to live consciously. You matter, and I love you.